So what I'd like to do today is, and the title of the shir is The Stairway to Heaven, and to try to understand what exactly is Chalom Yaakov, what exactly is Yaakov's dream in this week's Parsha, because we're going to see there's many different interpretations and many different ways to analyze it, but I want to see if I can analyze it from different vantage points. So let's begin just by reading source 1. So it says, Vayifka b'makom, Vayetzei Yaakov miBeresheva vayelach Harana. Vayifka b'makom vayalan sham ki v'hashemesh v'yikach mavnei makom vayaseh mirashotav vayishkav makomahu. Yaakov leaves Beresheva and he sojourns, he travels to Haran. Now, what is strange, and Chazal pointed this out immediately, that generally speaking, when people travel from location A to location B, they don't tell you where you leave from, they just tell you where you're going. It is irregular for the Torah to identify the location that a person is leaving from. Hence, the famous Midrash, and what does Rashi say on this comment? Look at source number 3. Lo yatzriach lichtov ela vayelach Yaakov Harana. The Torah should have just said Yaakov is going to Haran. Lama yizkor yetziato. Why does the Torah need to tell me where he's leaving from? I know where he left from. I can go back up Psukim and see where he was living. Right? Greenberg is off to New York. It doesn't say, and Greenberg left Thornhill, and I was going to New York. You don't speak that way. It appears to be redundant. Ella, Magid, Shietziat Tzadik min Makom Oseh Rasha. When a righteous person leaves a location, it has an impact. Shabizman Shat Tzadik Ba'ir. Hu Hodahu, Hu Zivau Dirah. That the Hadar, the glory, the beauty, the splendor is because of this righteous person. Right? Yatsa Misham. When this person leaves, when Yaakov leaves, the Hod, the Ziv, and the Hadar, the glory, the splendor, and the majesty leave with Yaakov. And that's what, shall we say, Rashi wants to point out. He quotes the Medrash. Meaning, the place also was transformed. Beresheva was transformed when Yaakov left it. The Abarba now, if you take a look in source number 4, says, what do you mean? Take a look at 4. This Shayach Hashal Yaakov Yitzeito Ma'aretz HaNivcheret U'Mibeit Aviv. Says the Abarba now. You know what it says? They left Beresheva. The Torah tells us that why does Yaakov leave Beresheva? Because it tells us that he longs for Beresheva. That for Yaakov to leave Mama and Papa, for Yaakov to leave his family, for Yaakov to leave his hometown, it's quite difficult. So it's like pulling at him, it's gnawing at him. It's difficult for him to leave. It's not so easy. He's going out to the vast world out there. He's leaving his bubble, leaving his home, and therefore the Torah specifically says that he left Beresheva, that he was pulled to leave. It was a struggle for him to leave, right? And that's why the Torah specifically writes it. So it's interesting. 2 different commentaries, Rashi and the Barbanel. Rashi says that almost as if the city got demoted when Yaakov left, and the Barbanel almost takes a different look at it, and his spin is, no, Yaakov leaving actually impacts Yaakov for the worse, right? Doesn't impact Beresheva. Beresheva is still Beresheva. What does it matter? The difference is that Yaakov is still, shall we say, tethered to Beresheva in his trouble. That's an interesting, different way that commentators look at the strange language of Vayetzei Yaakov mi Beresheva. I want you to keep those 2 interpretations in mind when I ask you about the message and the meaning of the dream. Okay? Because perhaps that might impact how you interpret the dream. So all this is the preamble. He arrives in a place. By the way, what Chazal tells us, Vayifka b'makom. Anybody know what does it mean b'makom? Of course, he encounters a place. Right? Generally speaking, when you arrive somewhere, it's, you don't say Vayifka b'makom. When Eliezer travels to Mesopotamia to try and find a wife for his master's son, for Yitzchak, what's the language of the Torah when he arrives there? Vayelach, so by the way, Vayakam vayelech el Aram Naharaim Nechor. It never says where he leaves from, right? That's why the Torah is pointing out again. There's an anomaly the Torah tells us really from. And in fact, it just says he arrives in the Be'er. There's no, they don't even seem to point out in detail that he arrives. What about when Avraham makes it to, let's say, Mitzrayim? Does it make a big deal that he arrives in Mitzrayim? What's the language there? Right in the beginning of the travels, yes, leave because there's a famine. What's the language of the Torah? Here. V'rav Barat, Vayered Avraham Mitzrayim alagur sham ki chaved ara'av ma'od. Fikasher he kriv lavo Mitzrayima. Right, they're a little bit worried. So Vayhi kivo Avraham Mitzrayima. Avraham arrives in Mitzrayim. So again, what is this Vayifka b'makom? It's a very, very strange language in the Torah. What did Chazal pick up from here? Anybody recall? What is Vayifka b'makom? But what's b'makom? B'makom means it's a place. A place of significance. A place of meaning. Chazal said, where's the place? The place is Har Moriah. Why? What is it, Avraham? Vayaret hamakom mirachok. Chazal say when Avraham travels, he sees a makom. Yaakov arrives at a makom. The two makomot must be the same. That's classic in terms of how Chazal try to bring meaning into what's going on. They connect the dots. Makom by Avraham, Har Moriah, the Akedah. Makom by Yaakov. It must be the same place. A very rational interpretation. If I understand, Pshuto Shal Mikra makes a lot of sense to me. Not everyone agrees with that, mind you. But look at Rashi, look at 5. The Torah's not telling us the location. It must be location that's previously mentioned. Who? Har HaMoriah. Shenemar, Vayarta Makom Merachok. That is source number 5. What about the word Vayifga? Paga. What does the word Paga mean? It means to meet, to encounter. Wonderful. Chazal, if you take a look at 5 in the second interpretation of Rashi, what is another lashon? Chazal saw the word ein pigia ela lashon tefillah. It's another word for prayer. According to Chazal, what prayer did Yaakov be metaken? What was the prayer of Yaakov? Tfilat Arvit, Mariv, evening. Because when does Yaakov arrive? What's the pasuk in the Torah? Vayilan sham kiva shemesh. He goes to sleep. Make shlufen. Nighttime. Ein pigel lashon tefillah. That's how Chazal understood it. There's a whole conversation maybe for another time. That's my topic actually, Thursday night. So, again, I'm trying to give you a context of what's going on. He arrives at this location. He goes to sleep. It's dark. It's nighttime. He takes from the surrounding stones. Again, very famous medrash. And again, the Torah emphasizes b'makom ahu twice, right? The Torah is clearly emphasizing there's something very unique and special about this place. There he goes to sleep. The next pasuk, there's a ladder which is stationed and grounded on the earth. And the top of this ladder leans where? In the heaven. Reaches the heaven. And so again, what's the image? A ladder stationed on the ground. The top of it is in heaven, with God's angels ascending and descending the ladder. And God appears to him and he tells him, Ani Hashem Elokei Avraham Elokei Avicha Elokei Yitzchak Asher Tashchav Aleha Lechatanena Uzarecha Vayazarecha Gafarat Ufarat Stayam Lakein Retzafan V'Negba V'Nivruchu V'Cha Kol Mishpachot Adama Uzarecha V'Nei Enochi Ma'achu Shmarticha V'Shortelech V'Shivoticha Adamazod Ki Lozavcha Ad Asher Masiti Et Asher What essentially, let's summarize, what is God's message in the Chalom? How would you summarize that? What's he telling him? What's he telling him of significance? What's he telling him? Why is he telling him this? Why is this important? Oh. Why is it important he's told this? Why does it matter? What do you mean? Is this telling him his mission? What's his mission? Where do you see here a mission statement? Okay, so it's telling us that you could. By the way, you could have told me that the mission is you could have told me that. That might have been his mission, right? But what is he saying? That your children will inherit the land of Israel. Now, why is that significant at this point in time in Yaakov's life? Because he's leaving. So even though Yaakov is on his way out, Hashem says, don't worry. Who else in Chumash has been told those lines before? Avram and Yitzchak. Right? Anybody know when Yitzchak was told that line? The first time? You want to guess? Don't guess? Anybody know? When that's probably Torah Chaim. I forgot. First off, Bereshis is volume 1. Second off, Bereshis is in volume 2. When is he told this? V'hirav baretz, Parsha Toldot, Perek Havav, Pasuk Aleph. Milvad Rav Rishon Asher Yad Abraham Vayelech Yitzchak Elav Melch V'Shingrara Vayevrai Lav Hashem Vayomer Al Tered Mitzrayma. There's a famine. What does Yitzchak say? Hey, my papa, what did he do when there was a famine? He went to Egypt. I'll go to Egypt. Hashem says, no way, Jose. Gur ba'aretz hazat. V'yeh imacha v'rachecha. Kilacha uzarachaten et kol haratzot ha'el v'akimoti et ashua shel nishbati Avraham avicha. Etc. Right? That's when Yitzchak was told. Here's Yaakov. He's on his way out. What does Hashem say? Also, you will get the land as well. Question. Okay, then he wakes up and Beit Elokim. We don't really have time to do with that part of the aftermath of the Chalom. Question. What is the function and purpose of this Chalom? What's its meaning? What's its significance? What would you like to argue? And what's your proof? What do you think? What's the meaning? What's the significance of the dream? Like, why do you need that ladder there for? Right? I'll give you an example. If I were to delete Pasuk Yud Bet, and just have Hashem appears to him and gives him that message. No, that's not a bad idea. What effect at all would have had on the message? Is the answer? Zip! No? Isn't the entire image of the ladder redundant? After all, Avram and Yitzchak received the exact same message and they didn't have a ladder. Yaakov's a construction worker? So that is everyone understand the question? If both Avram and Yitzchak receive essentially the exact same message from Hashem, but neither one of them have a chalom, neither one of them have an image. They just have, for lack of a better term, a prophecy. They have the message. I want to tell you something, Abraham. I want to tell you something, Yitzchak. Israel, land, inherit, all good, have a wonderful day. And what does Yaakov have? A ladder, angels. What's going on here? I'll tell you what else is very strange about this dream. I don't remember who points this out, but someone points this out. Every other dream in Chumash, we're told the interpretation and the meaning. This is the only dream we don't know what it means. Think about it for a second. Paro's dream. Paro's dreams. We're told what it means. 7 years famine, right? Yosef's dreams. Okay, so maybe, right? The brothers even almost interpret it. What, are you going to rule over us? Okay, so, they basically got most of the dream, right? Or we see maybe how the dream unfolds throughout Chumash. The butler and the baker, Sarah Mashkim and Sefer Bereshis, we're told exactly what it means. We see come to fruition, even. Yaakov's dream is an anomaly. What in the world does this dream mean? So this is what I think you're going to see so many different interpretations and meanings, because it appears to be it's an anomaly, there's no interpretation throughout Chumash what it means, or coming to fruition, but you don't see that by any other dream. 2, it's totally superfluous, because the message that he's being told was the same basic message that his father's grandfather got, but they didn't have a dream. So what does the dream add to the equation? Everyone with me? Good. Okay. Anyone want to throw out... By the way, if you were writing a commentary on Chumash, what choices do you have in resolving this? Everyone appreciates the challenge? Everyone appreciates it was difficult? Now, you want to resolve it. You want to publish a book on Chumash, and you want to resolve this difficulty. You need to deal with this dream. What are the different approaches that you can make? How could you resolve it? What approach can you give? You could either come to what type of conclusion? What would you do to resolve the difficulty? Be creative. Come on. What would you do?
How would I interpret?
Yeah. How would you go about? Tell me the answer. How would you go about even thinking of interpretation?
Find each thing is like a metaphor.
Okay. I could say that the ladder is a metaphor, the sky is a metaphor, the ground is a metaphor. I gotta figure out what are the metaphors. Now, do I need to connect those metaphors to the message? God will be with you, He's going to guard you, and you hear the land of Israel? I should. Okay, because you want to have some type of metaphor has to connect to that message. Good, wonderful. So we got to figure out how to connect them. What else could I do? How else could I go about trying to understand the connection? I could say they're two different things, no? There's an image called a ladder, angels, and then there's a message. After all, his father and his grandfather got that same message. They didn't get that metaphor. So the metaphor is something specific for Yaakov, right? And then there's a message that I gave to your father and your grandfather. But there's something that's unique about a situation that I want to tell him about. Okay? Now, maybe it's connected to the location that he's in. After all, it says we're Makom 3 times, and that's where he has the dream. So now the Makom, which we spoke about, and we emphasized a few minutes ago, maybe it's also playing an important role. There's something about the location. It's real estate, right? There's something about the location of where he is that also might play a role in the dream. And I'll tell you why. We mentioned before that perhaps the Medrash says, Rashi quotes, that the Makom is Har Moriah. There's a problem with that. I'll tell you the problem. If you want to give Yaakov a message, I'm with you, before you go into exile, where do you think makes sense to give him that message? If I have a map of Israel, before he leaves. So if you have a map of Israel, which we should have in the back of the Tanakh somewhere, which I actually think is in my office. Okay, it's in my office. If I were to show you a map of Israel, right here, where is this Har Moriah? Oh, there's a map. No. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? So I'll show you where it is. There's Yerushalayim, right? But where's he going? Up here, no? Why are you giving him a message? You're not on the border. Wouldn't it be more rational to say that towards the last 5 kilometers, 1 kilometer, 20 kilometers of Israel before you leave Eretz Yisrael? Same message. You're coming home. why are you giving this message? You're in the heart of the country. You've barely started your journey. Say it maybe before you leave, right? But it's a very strange time for the sun to go down and to sleep in this makom. So maybe the makom is so significant to talking about this makom in this location. I want to put you in the mind of Chazal why they're going to say certain things. Because they're bothered. Why this location? Why this timing? Why this imagery? And now you'll appreciate how they all have to resolve the difficulty. And each way they resolve it will have advantages and disadvantages. Because some will be the context of the message, some will be the context of the location, and each one will have a different impact in a different role. Okay? Isn't that cool? So let's take a look at, not that we have that much time, but we'll see what we can do. Take a look at 7. The Midrash says, top of the page, Tanya bar kapra leit chalom shein lo pitaran. It doesn't, impossible. Every dream has a resolution, has an interpretation. V'nei sulam zo keves. Mutzav artza ze mizbeach. Mizbeach adama tasta liv. Roshom agia shemayim. Elu ha-korbanot shereichanu ala shamayim. V'nei malachei Elohim. Elu konim gdolim. Olim v'yordim bo. Shem olim v'yordim ba-keves. V'nei Hashem nitzav alav. Ra'iti ad Hashem nitzav ala mizbeach. What is the Midrash saying in number 7? What is the message of the dream? What is he seeing? What's Yaakov saying? What's he seeing in this dream? Beis Hamikdash. Huh? So here we go. Why? The Chazal, source number 7, telling us that this dream effectively is a Beis Hamikdash. Why? How are they probably understanding the location? Where is Yaakov? Rabbi. What does Yaakov do when he wakes up from the dream? Right, I guess I need to be real specific. What does he do? Hinei beis Elokim. No, look at pasuk. Chav Beis 22. Ve'evan azos yishadim atzei vayeh beis Elokim. So I'm going to make a beit. So what is Yaakov saying? I'm going to come back and build the Beit Elokim here. What's God saying? I'm showing you the Beit Elokim that you're going to build. It's not you. By the way, do we ever see anyone in Chumash that Yaakov builds a Beit Elokim? As far as I know. Okay, it's a conversation for another time. But his grandchildren, his descendants sure do. It's called the Beit HaMikdash. So if you understand that where the location is significant, and you understand that God is telling him, do not worry, I'm with you, you're coming back, you're going to inherit the land. What better way to say that this message, this nevuah of Yaakov, comes to fruition hundreds of years later? See, Jews, we have a lot of patience. We always, to the question, has Mashiach come yet? We've always said, not yet. So the very fact, by the way, any movement that says now is very dangerous. Peace now, Mashiach now, those things are very difficult, right? Jews, you know what? We wait, we have patience. We're not sure if things are going to be now. It'll be tomorrow, perhaps. And we'll wait. Yaakov is being told something, and when does it come to fruition? Hundreds of years later, but it comes to fruition. Look at 8. Rabbanan Patrin Lemi Sinai. No, it's referring to Har Sinai. V'chalam v'nei sulam ze Sinai. Mutzav artza v'etzu v'tachtita harba shemagia shamayma. V'harba erba esh ad leva shamayim v'emalchi Elohim ze Moshe v'aron olim Moshe alal rosh Elohim v'yordim ze Moshe. V'yer Moshe v'nei Hashem nitzav alav v'yer Hashem Har Sinai el rosh har. This Midrash is saying, no. What is this image all about? Not the Beit HaMikdash, but Har Sinai Matan Torah. Huh? What might be the message in the dream? If you add this image of Chalom Mutzavarta and Rosho Magia Shamayma, Malchei Elohim Olim v'Yordim Bo is ultimately about Har Sinai and Matan Torah, what then is the message to the second part, which is to inherit the land? I did the first one for you. Tell me the second one. Midrash is saying this image is Har Sinai. Again, is Yaakov located in Har Sinai? Maybe not. That's really difficult to understand. Right? But meaning, why then, before the message, is this Har Sinai imagery? What's the function of Har Sinai imagery coming before the for sure message of you hit the land of Israel? Hit the land of Israel, Har Sinai, what are you talking about? That's like hundreds of kilometers away in the southeast. Why are you telling me about, I'm going north, why are you telling me about Har Sinai? What might be the message? One could argue, if you want to inherit the land of Israel, it's dependent upon Har Sinai. That the future of the Jewish people of going to inherit the land, of building the Beit HaMikdash, of returning back, is dependent upon Har Sinai from a national perspective. And you, Yaakov, maybe one could argue, if you want to ensure that you're going to come back, there's a certain code of conduct that you need to live by. Perhaps. Okay. Source 9, super duper famous. Just to save time, I'm actually not going to read it inside. I'm just going to tell you what it is. And that is, Olim v'Yordim Bo are imagery of the various nations of the world. Every nation will rise and every nation will fall. However, Edom will rise apologize. Edom will rise and will also fall. For Shel Edom Ola v'Yored. Last two lines in source 9. Amar lefan of Ribbon Olamim Geshem sheyesh le'elu yerida ki kach yesh li yerida. Amar l'Rosh Baruch Hu el tachat Ola shel Ola ve'in el. That again. That what? Oh no. I want to read this one. Look at the second line in source 9. I apologize. Shel Edom Ola ve'ino yodea won't come down. That again, what's the imagery here? The imagery as that Edom, Rome, will rise and rise and rise, and we don't see an end to it. So there the message is very simple. Chazal living in the times of destruction of the Beit HaMikdash, and to them they feel as if the rule of the Roman Empire will last forever. The message is, they too will be destroyed. And again, if Edom is Esav, message to Yaakov, so it appears you are in a very bad situation, you are on the run, you are a fugitive, don't worry. There'll come a time where Edom, Esav, your big bro, will also, shall we say, disappear. So it's understood both from the personal perspective of Yaakov and the national perspective of Chazal at the time of writing the Midrash, see themselves in this Edom, this exile of Rome, which is quite difficult, and there's no end to it, and there's persecution, and there's despair. Just like every other nation also rose and fell, so too their time will come, and the Jewish people will hopefully be able to survive and rise to the top. So those are the different midrashic interpretations to it. Okay, those are source 7, 8, and 9. Take a look at the Ramban. The Ramban actually is going to borrow source number 9. Take a look. I should probably. You know what Rashi says? Oh, I have Rashi here, don't I? I do. Jump to 11 for a second. 11, what does Rashi say? Olim t'chila hagach yodim. Malachim shelivuhu ba'aretz en yotzim chutz al haaretz. V'elu rakia. V'yodim malachi chutz haaretz l'vato. What is the Midrash in 11? Yaakov has protection. Angels. And they're going to protect him in Israel. Since he's leaving Israel, new angels have to come and protect him. The angels of Chutz Haaretz. Why? Ushmarticha, I'm going to guard you, I'm going to be with you. And what's this image? What's this image? I'm going to guard you and be with you and escort you and bring you back. That's this image of these angels who are accompanying you and are being with you. That's what Rashi says. Because Rashi is trying to connect what's this image of angels ascending and descending to the message of God, I'll be with you and I'll protect you. Answer, these are the angels of protection. These are the angels of safeguarding. And that's the image that you're having in this dream, the crossing, the passing of the battalion between the angels who accompany you and protect you in Israel and those that are going to accompany you outside of Israel. Ramban in number 10 at the end has a beautiful message. He's going to argue on Rashi. He's going to say, see right after that paragraph indent, let's read. Yivarahu ki hu yitbarach nitzav ala sulam. He shows the image of God who is above this ladder of Mavticho leYaakov b'avtacha gdola. He makes him this great promise. L'hodia shehu lo yeh b'yad malachim. Yaakov, where you're going, you will not be in the hands of angels. V'yeh chalak Hashem. You'll be part of God. The God will be part of you and with you and protect you. He's not going to sure say abandon you to the angels, which are, I guess, more happenstance and luck and random. But rather, Hinei anochi imcha. Yeah, the Ramban understands. Ushmarticha b'chol asher tilech. God is speaking in first person. I'm with you, not these angels, so to speak. Kim alato gdola mishar tzadikim shenemar ben v'gevah. According to the Ramban, I will be with you. Divine protection. And what do we actually see next week's Parsha? Whatever Yaakov does comes to fruition. It's like the Midas touch. He gets tricked with all the ladies, right? Rachel and Leah, he gets both. And he has children, he has Parnassa, and he goes back home. And he has children, he has family, right? Whenever Lavan tries to trick him, he tricks him. But still Yaakov manages to succeed. No matter how many times Lavan tries to undo Yaakov's fame and fortune seems to prevail. Oh, God is really guarding him and protecting him. That's, I think, the message that the Ramban is saying. To some extent, the Barbanel, beginning of source 12, has the same idea. V'achreikein, shekiyam b'alidosh baruch hu kol brachot Avraham v'yivado brachot Yitzchak asher Hashem baruch hu v'tachot shelo yiram ma'asav Lavan. Zamar anochimcha klamar v'lazeh al tira me'isav. Says the Barbanel, what? Imagine what's going on in Yaakov's head. Imagine you're Yaakov. And what does your father tell you? According to your father, why are you going to Mesopotamia? Find the shidduch, no? Just like Yitzchak found the shidduch there. According to your mommy, and maybe the reality, why are you going to Mesopotamia? To escape Esav, your wanted man. Either way you look at it, imagine what Yaakov is thinking. Avraham was born where? Mesopotamia. He was told to go to Eretz Canaan. He was born in Chutzatz. Yitzchak, Yaakov, is saying, my father. He was born in Eretz Canaan. When he wanted to leave, what did God tell him? Gur ba'aretz hazos. V'hiyeh imach. Remember? You read it before? Imagine Yaakov. He's probably saying to himself, God just allowed me to leave Eretz Canaan? Didn't allow my father. Avram, I understand he can go to Mitzrayim. He wasn't born in Israel. When my father wanted to leave, God said, no way, Jose. And now, I can just leave? I'm a fugitive. I'm on the run. Who gets sent out? What does the Torah tell us? Who gets sent out and sent away by their own father? Shmuel and Esav, no? Shmuel and Esav both get sent away. Eretz Kedem, out of Eretz Canaan. I mentioned this a long, long time ago. It's very complicated. What exactly was Avraham promised? What are the boundaries of Israel? Right? Every time the borders are different. A theory that I heard things from Rabbi Binun, who says, for lack of a better term, Israel, not quite, but Israel, from Bereshis to that was for Bnei Yaakov, and the greater Middle Eastern region, Transjordan, where the borders are huge, that was for Bnei Avraham, meaning Yishmaels and Esavs. I mean, we'd all live in the Middle East, so to speak. The Jews would get Israel, and then like Transjordan, that was for. It actually works very nicely to argue that, because otherwise, how you explain how different the borders of Eretz Canaan, right? And that makes sense, because Avraham actually sent them there. Jordan, Mesopotamia, those are all going to be for Esav and Yishmael, and we'll get Eretz Canaan. But it doesn't really matter for our conversation. What I'm trying to say is that if you are young, probably thinking, I'm just another Ishmael. I'm another Esav. I'm also being rejected and cast aside. I messed up. Did something wrong. Tricked my dad. Fooled my father. It can't be worth a lot of points in the God credit system. So I would like to argue, I think, that maybe is what's going on here. Remember, go back to what we started with. Vayetzei Yaakov mi Bereshis, says the Barbanel. He's leaving Bereshis. What does it mean to leave Bereshis? Leaving mom, dad, your family? You're being sent out to quote unquote the real world, leaving your bubble. Imagine the fear and the trepidation that he must have. So if that's the case, what's this image of a ladder? What role does that play at all? Why do I need the ladder imagery? So you could say maybe it's the angels are going to guard you and be with you, or God himself will be with you and protect you. Others say, no, you have to understand that if you want to be successful in Chutz La'aretz, you've got to remember to be grounded in the land, in Eretz Canaan. For Magia Shemaima, you also have to keep your eyes and ears and head and mind towards heaven and towards God. And maybe it is, if it depends upon your behavior. No matter where you're going on your travels, when you're ascending, where you're going to, God will protect you, he'll be with you, and he's going to bring you back home. And there's so many other, that's why there's Kabbalistic interpretations, mystical interpretations, where exactly the image of the ladder. One thing is for sure, there's an anomaly that we don't exactly know what it means. We don't see too many images of ladders throughout Chumash and Tanakh really at all. There are those who want to say that the purpose of Yaakov is to bridge Shemayim V'aretz. Maybe Yaakov needs to take the, for lack of a better term, the spiritual and the physical, and somehow combine the two of them, which is also kind of what Yaakov begins to do. Becomes a shepherd, becomes a shepherd. He has to work, he has to struggle, right? But at the same time, it appears that he has to be grounded also in the world with a ladder that's firmly placed on the ground. There's so many other things really to talk about. I just want to leave you with some different ideas and how we kind of have to balance what's exactly the message of the dream to God's message. Put yourself in Yaakov's situations and the challenges that he's facing, and how God has to reassure him, don't worry, you are like Abraham, you are like Yitzchak, you will inherit the land, you're not being rejected, you will come home. Perhaps it's dependent upon following the mitzvah like at Har Sinai, perhaps it's dependent upon certain types of behavior, perhaps, and not to worry that the Beit Elokim that you will build like the Beit HaMikdash, the Beit Elokim that you will hopefully one day come back to build, either you'll do it or your grandchildren will do it, but nonetheless it will come to fruition. And it will come true, and that you will come home. And after all, we know we are called Bnei Yaakov, we're called Bnei Yisrael. But for that, we kind of have to go through. Yaakov has to go through an entire whole parsha on Chutz La'aretz, which is essentially next week's parsha, is parsha Vayishlach, where he has to somehow. Vayetzei. He has to finish going to Chutz La'aretz, come back home. He comes back home with the beginning of parsha Vayishlach. He has to go through Vayetzei, he has to go through leaving somehow, some reason why he has to do that in order for him to come home safely. Perhaps it's connected to the tefillah of Marav, which is about darkness, which is about nighttime. That's perhaps for another time. Thank you, everybody. Next week, same time, same